It's awesome to be with you all. I want to talk about lament. Yes, lament. It is a very biblical form of prayer. It's just not very American. What is it? It's a passionate expression of sorrow, of grief, of sadness. Lament is it's what comes out of you when you're hurting and you risk expressing that to your God in some way, verbally, non-verbally, but you connect to it and you express it. At the core of your story is what you have done with your desires and your disappointments. At the core of your heart is how you have, or to what degree you have continued to stay in dialogue with God about your desires and your disappointments. If you read books like Job or Psalms, Lamentations, Jeremiah, you will quickly realize that God seems to be okay with raw, gritty expressions of the writer's real feelings. Real feelings. What I want to suggest today is that it's not merely that God's okay with these things. What I want to suggest is that God longs for your raw, gritty, unedited expression of your heart, your feelings, in all the complexity therein. Books like Job, Psalms, Lamentations, they're not just there for us to read, they are there for us to pray. To give us words when we don't have words. I'm going to take the psalmist's words and to make them my own. So, have you ever taken the psalmist's words and prayed those words as if they were your own, instead of just reading them? If you let yourself really connect to some of the words, and I'm going to give you some of these psalmic words, you will find yourself accessing places in your heart that you may not have known were there. In other words, you'll find yourself connecting to some feelings that may be a little buried, that you weren't even aware you felt. What would it feel like to risk, even if you don't say it out loud, no pressure to say any of this out loud, but to connect to some of the feelings of your so-called negative emotions? Sorrow, grief, sadness, yearning, longing, fear, rage, anger. The key word for today is unedited. Unedited. The essence of lament is that you're saying to God, something is drastically wrong with the way things are. You might be saying, God, something's drastically wrong with the way things are in my marriage, if you're married. You might be saying, God, something is wrong with the way things are in my relationship with coworker, parents, a child. What would it look like to, here's the word, protest. Protest. The Psalms are filled with people protesting how God seems to be treating them. So let me share some examples, just you're not taking my word for it. Here's some examples. Psalm 6. My soul is in anguish. How long, O Lord, how long? Now, when the psalmist prayed this, the psalmist was thinking about something in particular. They just didn't write that. But there's nothing abstract about lament. Look, there's nothing abstract about your life. You have unmet longings. You have sorrows that are very specific to your story, your struggle, your present anguish. anguishes. What is your soul in anguish about? What's not well inside? Here's Psalm 10. Why do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? Now, what's going on there? Well, the psalmist, the writer, has clearly prayed about something, and God has not yet responded to the writer's satisfaction. And so that it's metaphoric, idiomatic language for God. Why haven't you responded to me? Why do you stand far off? Why are you silent? This kind of language is all over the Psalter. Here's another example, Psalm 13. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? The psalmist is feeling abandoned by God. These are three examples from the text, from the scripture, of lament. Of lament. Of unedited expression of how the psalmist was really feeling on a particular day. Let me read them again. My soul is in anguish. How long, O Lord, how long? Have you ever prayed that? Why do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? Now look, none of this has to be accurate theologically, okay? Don't worry about it. Okay, don't worry about it. You're not making a theological statement, okay? You are praying biblically, which means you are expressing with, at some level, unedited, right? You're not making it theologically appropriate. You're just telling it like it feels inside. Now, if you risk praying your laments to God, you'll soon notice something happens inside. And this probably is why we rarely do it. What you will start feeling inside is a war with hope. It can feel very scary to tell God what you want, what you long for, what you're upset about, because as soon as the words are out there, you have to feel the degree to which you hope that God will respond and come through for you and answer you and hear you. And so all of a sudden you're wrestling with hope, and that is a very painful, agonizing thing to wrestle with. Do I have hope that God will care about this lament of mine, this unfulfilled longing? Do I have hope that God will come through, that God will respond to me, that I matter about, that this particular thing matters to God? During the next few minutes, this is what I want to invite you to do. Number one, just, if it feels okay, just risk getting connected to one or two longings in your heart. What is one of your unmet longings? Just find it in this next private time of prayer. You know, if you're married, you likely have unmet longings in your marriage. If you are in relationship with parents, i.e. they're still alive, you likely have some unmet longings in that relationship. If you have children, it is likely that there are some things that aren't well, and it aches inside. You want something to be different. You know, if you're single, maybe you have an unmet longing to be married. Look, our longings, human beings are full of longings. That's actually quite glorious. That's part of what it means to be made in the image of God. What I want to invite you to do is to risk, and I know this, believe me, okay? I'm saying this, I've gone through this, okay? Risk feeling those aches. And then, once you feel them inside, just in this time, you can either A, imagine what would it be like to risk telling God about that. Or, you can do it. You can find a spot, and you can pray Words, no words, but your longings, your laments. So we're going to take time to do that now.